Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into one of the oldest, most powerful human impulses, the need to shape the world around us. We're going to trace the 40,000-year story of sculpture, from sacred objects carved out of mammoth tusks all the way to a urinal in a museum, to really get at why we have this deep-seated need to give our ideas physical form.
I mean, really think about that question. Why have we, as a species, spent 40,000 years carving, molding, and putting things together? This isn't just about making pretty decorations. No, this is something much deeper, something primal. And today, we're going to unpack the story behind that impulse, from ancient rituals to the most radical modern ideas.
Okay, so check this out. On the left, you've got the Lowenmensch, the lion men. This thing was painstakingly carved from mammoth ivory 40,000 years ago. It's this incredible fusion of a human and an animal, and it probably represented some seriously powerful spiritual idea. Now look to the right, a sculpture from 1997, an upside-down church that seems to be drilling into the ground. It's literally questioning the very foundations of belief. The materials, the message, the whole worldview, totally different. But that fundamental drive to take a complex idea and make it real, well, that hasn't changed a bit.
All right, let's get into the why. For most of human history, sculpture wasn't just, art for art's sake. It was a tool. It had a job to do. And it mainly served two absolutely fundamental purposes for holding a society together: religion and power.
The first one, and you could argue the most important, was all about making the divine feel tangible, real. For cultures all over the world, from ancient Greece and Egypt to the Buddhist traditions spreading across Asia, sculpture was how you gave your gods a physical presence right here on Earth. It created a focal point for devotion, for worship, for everything.
And the second big reason? Projecting earthly power. I mean, if you were a ruler, monumental sculpture was the ultimate statement piece. Think about it. From the Great Sphinx in Egypt to the countless marble busts of Roman emperors that were shipped all across the empire, these things were permanent, undeniable declarations of, "I'm in charge." So here's the key takeaway from all this. For literally thousands of years, sculpture had a very clear job description. It wasn't just meant to be looked at. It was a functional tool for bringing gods down to earth, for making a king's power feel absolute and permanent, and for literally shaping how an entire culture saw the universe. But, to give form to gods and kings, you need more than just a big idea. You have to have total mastery over the physical world. For sculptors, this meant mastering their materials and their techniques. And honestly, the process itself is just as amazing as the purpose behind the art.
And when you boil it all down, sculpture really just comes from two opposite approaches. You either take material away, that's the subtractive method, like carving stone, or you add it on, which is the additive method, like building up a shape with clay. Pretty much every sculpture in history starts with one of those two basic ideas. So how do you create something that feels dynamic and alive out of heavy, clunky materials? Well, this ancient process, lost wax casting, was a totally brilliant solution. See, stone is heavy and can snap, but this method let artists create hollow bronze figures. They were strong, but also light, and could capture a sense of movement that would be completely impossible to get out of a solid block of rock. Now, this whole drive for technical perfection, you could say it hit its absolute peak during the Italian Renaissance. You had artists like Michelangelo, who was a master of the subtractive method. He truly believed that he wasn't creating a figure, but that he was liberating a perfect, idealized form that was already trapped inside the block of marble. It was the ultimate expression of breathing life into stone. For centuries, the story of sculpture was this steady march towards more and more realism, more and more masterful technique. But then, in the early 20th century, the rulebook wasn't just rewritten, it was completely thrown out the window. For the longest time, this was the goal. This was what great sculpture was supposed to look like. It was all about perfecting the human form, taking inspiration from the ancient Greeks and Romans. It was beautiful, it was realistic, and more than anything, it was a showcase of the incredible skill of the artist's hand. And then, this happened. In 1917, an artist named Marcel Duchamp bought a factory-made urinal, signed it with a fake name, and tried to put it in an art show. With that one move, the whole definition of sculpture was just shattered. Suddenly, it wasn't about technical skill anymore. It was about the artist's idea. The simple act of choosing an object and calling it art was the art itself. And oh man, Duchamp just opened the floodgates. The 20th century saw this massive explosion of new styles because, well, the old rules were gone. If sculpture was just an idea now, then Picasso could literally assemble one out of junk he found. The surrealists could pull these bizarre, dreamlike forms straight out of their subconscious. Artists started using industrial steel to create huge abstract forms that weren't sculptures of anything, they just were. And by the 60s, the minimalists were stripping it all down to its absolute essence, like just a simple box in a room. The entire definition of sculpture was reinvented in about 50 years. So this huge radical shift brings us to right now, to today, where the very idea of what a sculpture can be has expanded so much that I don't think Michelangelo would even recognize it.
Think about it. Today, a sculpture isn't just an object on a pedestal. It can be a massive spiral of earth built right into a salt lake. It can be an entire room that you walk through and experience. It can be something that moves, or something made of pure light, or even sound. Heck, it can even be made of ice, designed to melt away and just disappear. The definition is now, well, it's pretty much limitless.
So here we are, full circle. For 40,000 years, sculpture has really been about one thing: making the invisible visible. It gave a physical body to gods, it gave form to the power of kings, and eventually it gave shape to the most radical ideas. Today, our materials are everything from earth and light to data and computer code. That fundamental human impulse to shape our world, to make our ideas real, that hasn't changed. The only question left is, in an age of AI and virtual worlds, what ideas will we choose to make visible next?